Chapter 36 Participation in the War. 3 days have passed since we departed. We had been able to reach the marshes. Since we couldn't replenish our water reserves along the way, I had used the water from my stomach, but it seems to also have filled everyone with power. Come to think of, since it constantly flows within my magic power, this just may be the water's acquired effect. When departing, we focused on minimizing luggage to maximize speed. Thanks to that, we were able to arrive sooner than expected. Before we continue our advance, we must confirm the current situation. The meeting with the Lizardman's chief is scheduled for tomorrow, and we have yet to have any cause for concern. Thus, I ordered everyone to stand by and take a break. Tension filled the air. Now, for the reconnaissance, Rimuru-sama, I shall go. Sae immediately offered. He was not wearing any armor. Instead, he was wearing a chainmail woven from my steel thread. No questions about it, it was built for agility. According to him, I won't be hit, so there's no need. Such were the smug and brisk words of this handsome guy. I see, I somehow managed to reply. This time too, I can entrust this mission to him with confidence. Okay then, Sae. Go confirm the situations for me. If possible, go check how good the ability of the pig boss is. Saying so, I sent him out. Surely, he will discover many interesting things with his exceedingly high ability. Rimuru-sama, would you mind if we rampage as we like this time? Benimaru had asked. Frankly, since I had no idea about the situation, I couldn't say. Thus, I don't mind, but can you properly withdraw once I order the retreat? So I say. Benimaru sported a fearless smile. That signal, I think it would be unnecessary. After all, it will be annihilation. Won't it? Such self-confidence. You too, huh? So I thought. Good men are full of confidence. Was it, if we win, was acting so smug but lost anyways? Were that to happen, the embarrassment would be intolerable. This guy probably doesn't worry about such things, right? Oh well. Don't be careless, okay? So I said, and ended the conversation with a shrug. Xian was entranced, admiring her sword. Soon she would be allowed to rampage as she like. Such a smile appeared on her face. Had she not been so ditzy, she'd be the cool Xian. That girl, entranced with her sword, makes a really dangerous impression. Let's act like we hadn't seen it, shall we? That's the best thing for my mental health. As expected from Hakiru, he was calm as usual. Or should I say, as bright and clean as a stainless mirror, truly a dignified presence that comes from a skilled person. However, no opponents to sink my teeth in, he murmured, but my ears didn't not miss it. Seriously, I wonder if all ogre people were this overconfident? They had lost once against the same opponent, so I'd think they would be more wary in this situation. Such worries caused me to let out a sigh. But that my worries were completely unnecessary was proven almost immediately later. 2 hours later. Would now be acceptable? Confirming the battle formation, I received a telepathic message. What? Did you find something? No, just a single lizardman is running in our direction. What? Do you understand why? Yes, according to the information from the clones, the war has already begun in the marshes, although I had warned them not to act alone. Oh, is the one who leading them the lizardman named Gabble? That guy that was pointlessly overconfident, that is likely. What should I do regarding the lizardman? Fumu. The war had already begun. But has the outcome been decided yet? Rather, maybe we made it in the nick of time. Need to confirm the state of battle from above. Well, about the lizardman, let's hear his story. Whether it was the decision of the chief or not, we need to confirm their intentions. As you will. I caught the connection. So, it had begun. I thought that we could enjoy a long-awaited break, but the circumstances seemed to dictate otherwise. So addressing everyone, listen. The break's over. The war has begun. From now on I will command from above. You guys follow my command, prepare yourself for war. Hearing my words, everyone faces tighten. Understood. For honor and glory, Xian replies and Benimaru nods. Hakiru casually walks forward. I sprout wings from my back. The wings open a hole in the clothes, but once the wings disappear, the hole would close. At my pleasure the clothing would change its form. A truly convenient ability. It's an order. I forbid you to die. This war is not a decisive battle. Make no mistake, hearing my words, oh, they let out a battle cry. While nodding, I soar to the sky. From above, I observe the battle. What cannot be seen with naked eye alone is clearly visible with magic perception. Almost as if you were observing with a satellite far beyond the clouds. The current situation was bad for the lizardmen. Clearly, the situation had degraded to where they could not do anything and were surrounded. They somehow managed to hold the orcs back, which was caused, it seems, by the desperate encouragements from their commander. However, they clearly wouldn't last much longer. That commander looks familiar. It's Gabble. I had thought that he was just a fool, but it seems I had underestimated him. For a commander, it is fatal to not be able to see the bigger picture. However, no one would expect a young commander who lacks experience to properly observe the entire theater. In any age and in any country, not every commander is an excellent one. Should he, however, survive and learn from this experience, he just might become an excellent one. It's pity for him to die here. So I thought. Then issued orders. Benimaru, hear my wish. First, the encircled lizardmen. Help them. After that, do as you like. The details you will hear from Hakiru, replying happily to my orders. Understood. Is it okay if I go there with Ranga? I leave it to you. Thus, I have begun to change the tides of war. In fact, above the clouds, thinking while observing the armies clash and being able to understand their every movement gives me a sense of overwhelming superiority. I must also note that through thought transmission, the aerial information can be transmitted to every soldier. Information tactics of modern warfare can be implemented in a fantasy world. Unlike conventional armies, the amount of information provided is vastly different. With this, it is possible even for an individual unit to maneuver well. Actually, this makes individual movement possible. When I was thus thinking, Sae called. Rimuru-sama, apparently their flank was taken. The chief's son, Gabble, had caused a rebellion. Furthermore, the chief was confined in an underground chamber. They have also been attacked by the orcs, and anxiety spreads among their forces. I see, so he was his son. Moreover, we shouldn't let anything happen to the chief, thus I had an idea. Sae, can you leap to the former chief with shadow step? So I asked him, since they met once, it should be possible. It's possible, shall I go now? I leave it to you. Assist the chief and do with the orcs in the caves as you please. I will hold you have another minute. Shadow step, let's practice that when the war ends. As I was thinking so, Sae called out. Seems like he had more to say. What? Is there something else? Hey. The clones have reported suspicious monsters in every direction across the marshes. They have decent magical power, high-ranking individuals. How should I proceed? What? Could it be a trap? Even so, what kind of trap? We wouldn't know. How many have you confirmed? Yes. I able to confirm 4 individuals. Unfortunately, there could be more. However, I don't feel any other auras. I see. Is it possible to dispose of them? If doing it simultaneously, it may be possible with 2 clones. It may take time, but I can eliminate all of them. Truly an outstanding guy. Somehow, I feel it's best to dispose of them simultaneously. Just what are they? That much is unclear. But would killing them be bad? I don't know whether they are an enemy or not. 2 clones at the same time. Is it possible to neutralize them without killing? Absolutely, it is possible. Send me the information about their position. I will send Xian and Hakiru. In that case, please have them contact me. We will neutralize the targets together. I entrust it to you. I told Xian and Hakiru about the situation. Absolutely no killing, just knock them out. I ordered. I don't know who they are, and I don't have any high-class demon acquaintances. Since they stand in every direction, they are either scouts or setting traps. They seem to haven't noticed us, and are clearly not part of the lizardmen's fighting strength. But this is too late for reconnaissance, so are they from the orc army? That also seems doubtful. Pointless, in my opinion. A third party? Suddenly, I thought that perhaps there are beings who are confirming the situation as we are. Well, if they are successfully captured, I will ask them then. I don't know if I can make them talk, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's unlikely that the demons came by the humans' orders, since they are rather antagonistic. Since thinking about it wouldn't help, I decided to stop. I issued orders and observed the situation. Lizardmen's side had begun to succumb to pressure. They will surely fall soon. For all I know, the chief was meeting a similar fate in the caverns. Sae already dispatched his clones, but I wonder if his main body is unaffected. My head is filled with many worries at this late hour. I issued an order, they followed it. Someone was incompetent if he takes more than he can do. Once, when I was still a rookie in the company, the chief often got mad at me and said, "Do not take more work than you can manage yourself." When the person in question stagnates, everyone will be affected. Since then, I avoided reckless action, always taking on only as much work as I knew I could handle. This time, the gifted one can't understand. They wouldn't know whether the job I gave them was possible. I pray that they are not incompetent. And that they do not call me an incompetent lord. For now, I think I'll just continue to observe the situation. If they face trouble, I will immediately send help. Well, after finishing the telepathy, Sae wears a thin smile. He feels he was able to help his lord. For Sae, Benimaru, who is son of the lord, was not his lord. Similar of age, Sae treats him as a rival. Someday, he considered to serve under him, but it was not meant to be. Instead, they began to serve a lord named Rimuru. I am fortunate, he thought. A time of peace had continued for a while. Symbolizing strength, the ogres had no opponent in the forest. Recently, even lesser dragons had not caused any commotions. He had thought that the peace was a good thing. However, they also wanted to use the skills they have obtained, such was their earnest wish. Then, they were attacked by the orc army. He could do nothing at all, and left without avenging his lord and fallen comrades. I am fortunate, he thought. Under the new lord, he was given the opportunity to avenge his former lord. Negligence born of pride that he currently did not have. For the lord, he had polished his technique, skill, all to eliminate his enemies. Being commanded filled him with the highest of pleasure. Sae calmly creates 2 clones of himself. And, I will catch the 2 presences. Hakiru and Xian go to south and west, confirming using telepathy. They acknowledged his request. Each of the clones went to the north and east. He himself sunk into shadows and disappeared. He was going to meet up with the Lizardman's chief. The high-class demons were not his enemies right now. He understands that much. After receiving Sae's request, Hakiru and Xian exchanged glances. They nodded. So, I guess I'm off west. Very well, I am going south. After a short conversation, they run off. They disappear from the spot with high speed. Seeing their departure can't be the last ones to leave, the main force led by Benimaru began to move. Soundlessly like the wind, the storm-fanged wolves gallop into battle. The goblins ride in enthusiasm. They move in accordance to Rimuru's order. So extreme was their joy that they felt their very blood dance in delight. You guys felt the same, right? Benimaru thought so. He was aware of his carefree personality. That's why he remembered the hesitation he felt when faced with the need to take over the ogre tribe village chief. Right now, however, he had no such choice. Thus, he liked his current position with Rimuru as the lord he served. As one of the military commander, he merely wished to rampage to his heart's content. Had he become chief, he could not ride off to battle thus. But now was different. He can participate without any concern. Benimaru sprints. He can't stop his blood from boiling. Sae, Hakiru, Xian had confirmed that they had arrived at their destinations. To prevent their presence from being noticed, they concealed themselves. In front of each of them, a suspicious demon was visible. They confirmed their observations and found their opinions to match. This demon was a familiar of a high devil which specialized in reconnaissance. Just in case, Sae conveyed to the 2, I'm going to report this to Rimuru-sama, our lord would surely be troubled if suddenly beset by 3 reports. The 2 reluctantly agreed, as the one who with the best telepathy was Sae. Clumsy Xian was only good at receiving. She swore in heart to continue practicing. After receiving the 2's permission, Rimuru-sama, the presence of demons was confirmed. It is familiar of a high devil, which specialized in reconnaissance. Are you sure you want to capture them? In my opinion, that we killed them will not be discovered, so there is no cause for further concern. To Rimuru, he sent such a message with telepathy. I leave it to you. So was the response. With the other 2 discussing the timing, they decided to simultaneously eliminate the 4 scouts. Hakiru would signal. At the same time as Hakiru commands, his slash gleaming, the monster before Hakiru is cut down and disappears. As if sucked into the shadows, as if consumed by the ground, 2 more demons are crushed. Sae's kills. After one thunderous slash, the demon was blown away without a trace. Xian's target. All happened within the same second. The slash that Xian had put all her strength into after blowing the demon away lost none of its momentum and continued onward. So great was the momentum that it had reached the outskirts of the marshes and cut down many orcs. Chapter 37 Encounter Benimaru and Ranga. Gabble continued the hopeless struggle. The odds were clearly against them. Without ever tiring, without ever resting, the orcs constantly attacked. The goblins and the lizardmen, on the other hand, were slowly being killed off one by one. They only needed to regain their formation and break through the encirclement, but doing so would mean abandoning the goblins who lacked the necessary mobility. Moreover, many exhausted and wounded lizardmen would be lost in the charge. Though he had refused to order a retreat, perhaps now he had no choice but to try to save even a few lives. Normally, the war would end when a decisive blow had been dealt to the enemy. However, the orcs sought the complete eradication of the lizardmen. No chance of surrender either. Simply being killed and devoured. That fact evoked fear. The weak-willed monsters lost their will to fight and abandoned their post. The goblins, in fact, could no longer be considered a force at all. Some goblins gave up and tried to escape, but such was not permitted by the orcs. Hunting down the escaping goblins, they killed and ate them. No more than 1,000 goblins had now remained. Soon they will be completely annihilated. The lizardmen fared not much better. The original 8,000 troops were now reduced to less than 6,000. They kept losing ground, making organized movements difficult to perform. Yet Gabble kept encouraging his troops. While slowly trying to break through the orc encirclement, suddenly, a squad of orcs clad in black armor began to move. Different from common orcs, these took command of the battle. Each wore full plate armor. Perhaps their base strength was no higher than that of an average orc. However, their equipment made all the difference. They, in turn, were commanded by a single orc. Carrying an aura of strength around him, he was clearly world above the common orcs. The orc general. Possessing the strength of an entire army, the orc army general. And following him are 2,500 orc knights. There are 5 such individuals. Their power may be ranked as B+. A fourth of the Orc Lord's true army had moved. It's over. That power could decide the battle right there. Escape is impossible. Their only choice is to fall in battle. At least, I want to be cut down by a warrior. So he thought. Gwahahaha. Cowardly general of swine. Do you have the courage to meet me alone in battle? He cried loudly. He could not win. His armor was in pieces. Moreover, seems like his opponent's armor was strengthened with magic. If he accepts this request, Gabble could die like a warrior. If it went well, perhaps he could take out a single general. Such were his thoughts. Goo goo goo. Very well. I'll be your opponent. Responding thus, the orc general jumps down from his horse. The surrounding clashes froze, swallowed by his aura. Further away, fighting continued, but it didn't reach Gabble's ears. Gabble could feel his concentration rising like it never had before. I am grateful. The rest was a silent duel. Gabble readied the magic weapon, water vortex spear. Come. The orc general bellowed, and at the same time died. Water vortex style, tornado crush. Gabble released an attack filled with all his might. Combining spear technique and magical energy, a certain kill technique. It was filled with all the strength Gabble had. However, Canring. Chaos Eater, TL note, do you want me to translate skill names? Some of these may get strange. Pointing his spear at Gabble, the Orc Lord devoured the vortex itself. But that's not all. The spear also began emitting an aura. An ominous yellow aura that attacked Gabble's very flesh. It seeks to eat me. Stumbling, falling Gabble realized. However, the aura would not let him escape. Googa googa. Pitiful lizard. Rolling in dirt suits you. Gabble was laughed at by the orc general. But he wouldn't give up. If only he could land a single hit. Picking up some dirt, he flung it at the orc. Call it cowardice, but Gabble desired the chance to cut him down. However, that attack too was in vain, as the yellow aura quickly devoured it. Gabble felt the attack directed at him. He was desperate to evade that aura, but knew not how. This far, Gabble thought, and closed his eyes. Suddenly, a deafening roar. The previously silent scenery came alive again. That roar assaulted the orc general, preventing him from landing a finishing blow on Gabble. What was that? Even amidst the battle, Gabble was confused. By now, the tide began to change. Without any concern for Gabble's thoughts, events developed rapidly before him. Xian's strike mowed down many orcs. That became the signal to start the battle. Benimaru was not surprised by the sudden slash that came from behind him. Rather, he only muttered, "What the hell's she doing, that idiot?" Benimaru did not tremble, for better or worse, and the goblin wolf riders were also stoic. Rather, he was merely bitter that he could not draw first blood. However, he finally could go wild. He could bear the earlier grief. Advancing at full speed, they crashed into the orc troops. The orcs were ready to sudden attacks by unidentified individuals, but they simply could not react in time to the speed at which the wolf riders attacked. Brittle. That is how Benimaru had described them. There was no need even for us to go out, the goblins could have managed this alone. This wasn't fun, so he thought. All troops stop. He ordered. To give up the momentum they had built up would normally be unthinkable. Moreover, for a unit specializing a speed such would be unnecessary, but the goblin riders, without a question, immediately stopped. "Ranga, could you shadow step to the lizardman named Gabble?" Benimaru asked. Sawe's skill, and Ranga's as well. Since it's the same, it should be possible, right? He didn't know, so inquired. "It is possible." A simple response. "All right. You go on ahead and protect them. I'll stroll over there." What a strange thing he had said. To stroll forward in the middle of a battlefield replete with orcs. Gabble's group should have been encircled by many warriors, such that a small number of troops could never break through. And rather than advancing quickly, he decides to walk there. What a bizarre thing to say, one would expect. Understood. And please, take your time getting there. I'm off ahead. With those words, Ranga leaps into a shadow. Benimaru stands firmly on the ground and slowly prepares himself. Seeing his actions, the orcs were at a loss. Should they attack or not? The goblins thought his appearance magnificent. Well, among them Gelmudo. Would we stop Su? Is running ahead bad Su? No way, must we walk ahead Su? I hate walking Su. There was one goblin who had said that, but let's ignore him. Aka. Yo, bastards. Yeah, you pigs over there, move. If you do, I'll let you go. Finishing his stretches, Benimaru calls out to an orc in front of him. But not a single orc moved. Don't screw with us. How could you, then, die? Since they had no intention to retreat, Benimaru decided to step in himself. On his right palm, a black spherical flame appeared. Increasing the diameter of this ball to a meter, he shot it at the orcs. Sensing danger, they tried to run away. But it was far too late. The ever-accelerating round chased them. Its speed was around 600 kph, clearly beyond the orcs' abilities. Those struck were immediately engulfed and burned without leaving ashes. However, the terror of the flame was not in this. The ball also absorbed the magical energy of the orcs it struck and used it to fuel its growth. Rather than a ball, it was now a dome with a radius of 100 meters. And in a second, another roar resounded across the battlefield. Well, it wasn't actually that loud, but those that heard it could feel their blood freezing in their veins. Wide area of destruction skill, Hell Flare. A skill that Benimaru had acquired. The black dome had disappeared and left scorched earth behind it. They were supposed to be fighting in the marshes, but the ground was burned into glass. Who could even imagine the terrible heat? It should go without saying, but it is easy to guess what happened to the orcs who got caught in the 2,000-5,000 degree fireball. Even their ashes were burned. Only a minute had passed since Benimaru shot the flare. And flashing a wicked smile, "Clear the way, swine," he declared again. The orcs were panicked out of fear. Though they were under the effect of the starving ones, they should not have even recognized the emotion called fear. However, that one attack awakened the terrible feeling. For no matter how much they struggled, they could not escape. An overpowering strength that they could not even imagine. Only forbidden spells could match such awesome might. They had no way to counter the skill, and even if they attempted to grow stronger by feeding, the corpses were burned to a crisp. He was truly a high demon far beyond their reach. And thus they feared. The panicking orcs began to disperse. Soon, they could barely maintain order. Seeing them act like this, Benimaru quietly walked ahead. To him, the orcs ahead were naught but a hindrance. Gabble was ready for death, but, strangely, he didn't feel the blow other than the one that hit him in the side. Feeling that something was amiss, he fearfully opened his eyes. What he saw before him was a black wolf. One that he had seen before, right? the body double of the leader of the Fang Wolves. "Oh, uo. Body double Dono, have you come to offer assistance?" he asked without thinking. What had happened, Gabble did not know, nor did he have the strength to look around. Flustered, he finally looked around. Somewhere in the distance, some commotion was occurring. And to Gabble, "I am not a Fang Wolf, nor a body double." Reverberating from the depth of his stomach, Ranga said in a low voice. And having zero interest in Gabble, he stared at the Orc General. They stared at each other. Orc General himself was confused. Suddenly a monster of great power had appeared. He felt power oozing from the beast's body. And moreover, from the direction the beast had come, he could feel terrifying magical energy. Some great misfortune happened there. So the Orc General felt. But being clueless to this all, what of revelation? Then, if you are not a Fang Wolf, would you be the leader of the Black Wolves? Gabble asked surprised. Surprised that Gabble had not recognized him for who he is. Ranga declared with a sigh, "Would you shut up for a minute? I am Ranga. The one who serves Rimuru-sama." And to the orc, "Swine, if you retreat, I shall not chase. If you attack, I shall not forgive." Ranga barked. The orc soldiers trembled, but not of fear. Their general by their side, the effect of starving ones was strengthened. "Googa googa. How insolent. A mere beast dares bare his fangs at me," the orc general retorted. And thus a battle began between them. The general commanded the orc soldiers to surround Ranga. For a beast, he saw no need for a fair fight. But Ranga only laughed. How joyous he was. He could finally show his true abilities. Howling with all his strength, Ranga released his aura. How long had he lurked within his beloved Rimuru-sama's shadow, absorbing the aura, while constantly reimagining his body? Aim for this form. Since he was told so, Ranga worked daily. And now came the time for Ranga's true power to awaken. Power gushed forth from his body. His muscles bulged, his claws hardened, his fangs sharpened. And 2 horns appeared atop his head. That appearance was just like that of his lord. Thus Ranga evolved into Tempest Storm Wolf. Ranga glanced at the Orc General. And he knew he was no threat. To get a feel for his power and to prove his intuition, he moved. Ranga felt the flow of power and directed magical energy into his horns. After observing Ranga's transformation, Orc General sensed danger. Go. He wanted to scream the order, flash, and a roar. Many lightning pillars appeared, connecting the heavens and the earth. And a winding waterspout. It was a skill that Ranga acquired, Death Storm. A wider area skill than the Black Lightning. In a second, the Orc General was vaporized, and the surrounding orcs fell to the ongoing storm. After the storm had passed, no orcs remained in the vicinity. Wide area skill Death Storm held truly terrifying power. Ranga observed this situation. There were no casualties among the lizardmen, and he had used it with the largest possible range. As expected, a lot of energy was used to fuel this skill, but Ranga could still continue fighting. Having confirmed mastery over this skill, a roar of victory. Looking down at his feet, he saw a fainted Gabble. However, that was none of his concern. He was ordered to protect the lizardmen, and having them faint posed no problem. Perhaps now that stupid lizard would fix his misconceptions. Thinking that, Ranga sat down. Far away, he could see Benimaru slowly walking towards them. Chapter 38, Devil Gelmudo. A wide conference room. The room was shrouded in silence. Several shadows of men and women were sitting surrounding the large round meeting table. A large crystal sphere was nested in the middle of the table. From the lowest position seat near the entrance of the room, a man was casting some kind of spell towards the sphere. The man dressed as a clown. His name is Gelmudo. He is the one who was entrusted with this meeting, and also the person responsible for certain project. The project that he had worked for many years, and that project is to give birth to a new demon lord. For the sake of his own ambition, the project must not end it in failure. And then, it was finally the last day of the project. He succeeded in inviting the 4 whimsical demon lord at his to succeed at all cost. It's impossible to make the demon lord move with money. You would need things that attract their interest, like a prey or a hard-to-obtain magic tool, artifacts. Anyway, it was necessary to pay a very valuable compensation. This time, Gelmudo succeeded in making the 4 demon lord move. In other words, the compensation he paid was enough. When the time comes for the birth of a new demon lord, the other demon lord would not stay silent. If a fool freely calling himself a demon lord, he or she would be killed because they invoked the demon lord's wrath. Moreover, if there was such person that managed to turn the table against an infuriated demon lord, such person, if they had the ability, they would be recognized as a demon lord. These past several hundred of years, there was no birth of demon lord with such ability. The last born demon lord, the human demon lord Leon Cromwell. With his overwhelming magical power, he increased the number of demonic person that he controlled. He claimed himself as the demon lord of the frontier. One of the demon lord, which was furious with him, the magic king, curse lord, had waged war against him. But he was slain by Leon instead. He was also defeated by Leon's own hands. In response to the situation, the other demon lord recognized him as a new demon lord. But demon lord with such ability was not a common occurrence. Therefore, to claim a stranger as a demon lord, it was necessary to get the support of at least 3 or more demon lord. If you messed with the new demon lord, the supporting demon lord will become opponents at the same time. That is what to be expected. And following such procedures for the sake of the birth of the new demon lord, Gelmudo become fired up because of his ambition. This time, to make the Orc Lord as demon lord would require one more step. For the bored demon lord, he prepares the stage for the birth of the demon lord as a spectacle. It was for them to have fun, which was one of the conditions for the support. Of course, it's not just that, he would also give them magic equipment, magic item, and magic tool, artifacts. For Gelmudo, this was a gamble of a lifetime. The Orc Lord had to eat the goblins and lizardmen to evolve as demon lord. Today was the day when it will all end. To become a demon lord and getting the support at the same time, one must devastate a human city. In doing so, it will become the news of the birth of a new demon lord. If such things happened, Gelmudo's ambition will be achieved. With manipulating the Orc Lord from the shadow, he would be on equal standing with the other demon lords. And yet, there was no reaction from the crystal ball. Gelmudo become impatient. This is bad. He doesn't want to imagine what happened if he offends the demon lord that we're looking forward to the play. It won't projecting. There's nothing that can be done. At that moment, he wondered if he is going to become a minced meat. Even if he's not killed, he might be cursed to become minced meat with only consciousness left. It's no use. I don't want to imagine it anymore. Gelmudo hurriedly cast the spell again, but there are still no reaction from the crystal ball. TL, because his familiar was killed by Sawe and Co. Hey, what are you doing? A voice colder than ice echoes. The room turns silent. The intimidation was enough to disturb Gelmudo's spell. Gelmudo was panicking with sweat leaking all over. Please wait. I will determine the cause right away, his instinct was saying. If he left it just like this, it would be bad. However, creak. A sound of something that were creaking, as if it was being squashed, was heard. But no sooner than that ABAAAAAM on the right side of Gelmudo, something big flew past by at high speed. It crashed at the rear door with thunderous sound. It was without any skill. The desk alone was several % of state budget of a small country. It was a product of art from carved fragrant wood. The heavy door in the back was decorated with elaborate decoration. Now it's just a large hole in the building's wall. You can see it miserably destroyed. Such thing happened. Are you treating me like a fool? The girl said. Gelmudo cannot mutter his words well due to his fear. Please forgive me. I will immediately confirm the cause myself. So he spoke. Really? Then made it quick. Since I'm generous, I'm going to wait. Which part of you are generous? Though he can't even afford the time to think about it. Gelmudo was trembling in fear. The door was destroyed by the table that flew outside from the now large hole in the wall. The conference room was on the 3rd floor, but he can't be picky about appearances anymore. He leaps outside and starts chanting flight movement spell. His ambition has all scattered away. What occupied Gelmudo's thoughts now? He doesn't want to die, only that. He was not making fun of the demon lord. It's the truth, but it had been seen as if he was making fun of them. Gelmudo prided himself as being a high-ranked devil. That's why he thought he was able to put a good fight against one demon lord. But because there was 4 here, he worried that it was necessary to depreciate oneself and praise the listener, so he thought, that's wrong. Demon lord is demon lord because of that they were feared. Because he afraid of them, he was not a demon lord. He knows it, he was being too conceited. To become equal with the demon lord, such thing like that were impossible for Gelmudo. He was able to truly understand it. Those who can't fathom the demon lord won't be able to speak with demon lord. With speed reaching the speed of sound, Gelmudo flew toward the marshes. But it was not for sake of his ambition. But for his survival, he needs to fix the blunder with all his might. What the hell is going on here? While flying in the sky, I confirmed the situation of the war on the marshes. A situation that I can't understand had happened in front of my eyes. What the hell is happening here? Like I'm gonna have any idea. To my own question, I retorted myself. I wish you can see it. If seen from the above, a sudden flash was flashing from the corner. The bodies of the orc soldiers were blown away along with a thunderous roar. When I observed at a certain direction, so loud, a thunderous sound resounded. Looking at it, there is a black sphere, dome, appeared on the battlefield. It disappears after a few seconds, leaving only the scorched ground. The orc soldiers that crowded that place had all been neatly erased. What the h? I was able to understand the situation in that moment, but I feel my heart refused to admit it. Not just that, a raging storm appeared suddenly in one corner of the battlefield. Numerous thunders from the storm struck the orc soldiers, killing and grilled them all. The orc soldiers clad in black armor on that corner. Without any resistance, they all turn into cinders by the power of the storm. What the hell is going on? It was his honest thoughts. With only a sword/slash attack, Xian has mowed down many orc soldiers. The blade of the massive adachi was emitting lilac lights. It's wrapped in an aura. Every time she swung her sword, flash of purple ran through, slashing and mowing down the orc soldiers. Of course, if someone received the direct attack of the blade, they would not able to withstand it and be slashed into two. The range of the blow was about 10 meters. An attack that killed all in a straight line. The graceful beauty, sprouting a slight smile, dancing around, slashing all. With bottomless stamina, she attacked without any interruptions. All the orc soldiers around her cannot come close. It was an overwhelming strength. But however, there are some guys that overshadowing Xian. It was Benimaru and Ranga. First Benimaru, what the hell kind of joke was that previous black sphere, dome? No, I was able to vaguely understand the mechanism after I saw it for a moment. In other words, it was a composite skill of barrier fire manipulation black lightning I have. First, the space is secured with barrier. He accelerate the molecular motion inside with fire manipulation. So it will produce a high temperature. Finally, the magical power inside the space acts as fuel, and the black lighting will turn it into plasma that would burn whatever is inside it. It can be said that the skills had become the composite skill black flame manipulation. I wonder if a degenerated version of the unique skill shapeshifter was passed down to Benimaru. Because I had great sage, there won't be any mistake on its judgment. That skill, unlike a nuclear explosion, its characteristic was not causing any damage outside of its radius. The proof was, even if the boundary is released, there was no shock wave that went outside. Range specification can be performed. It seems the purpose for increasing the inside heat synergistic ally was to make the heat inside unbearable. So once confined inside the boundary, there will be no hope for survival. The problem was, I don't feel I want to freely use that kind of extremely dangerous skill. And, one person or one animal. It was Ranga. I was surprised by this guy when he suddenly evolved into Black Storm Star Wolf, Tempest Star Wolf. The skill he used immediately after evolving was something to be astonished. Evidently, if you use the black lighting without any imposing restrictions, the result will be awe. It seemed what used just now was the strongest output. It seems like he can't use it twice. I was surprised that it had devastated the enemy forces on that corner with just one shot. I can unconsciously or consciously put break in my mind, but those guys weren't like that. Because it's dangerous, don't use it. They didn't have such thoughts. The opponents will not hesitate to use such thing. It was the law of the jungle in this world. It was the natural course of action. Maybe the strange one was me. I was hesitating to use it because I don't want any allies to get any injuries. Living in that world, there was an unspoken rule that powerful weapons cannot be used. There was no meaning for weapons to only be used as deterrent. But was it really just that? It doesn't make sense to spend money on weapons that can't be used. So, how can money be spent for the development of weapons? Was it going to be used when things going hairy? At the very least, if it was used by a civilian it will be considered evil, then is it considered justice if it's used on the battlefield? On the other side, using weapon to kill was not counted as a crime. And thus, to hold a power that can be used as a deterrent, perhaps showing off a power that used to coerce them, are not a mistake. Since the fighting began, 2 hours has passed. Benimaru shoot off another 4 black spheres, dome-shaped attack. As I expected, it can't be fire rapidly, but it seems it didn't require a large amount of magic power, energy. Ranga only shoot on the first attack. I thought the power was too high. Still, it was an AO attack. Thus, with just that single attack, it seems to have made the opponents recognize the feeling of fear. All the orc soldiers that were trying to escape were eviscerated by Xian. I knew how I felt and calmly mobilized the battle progress. It's strange, my feelings were calm. The first blow was dealt by Benimaru, but the rest of the attack point was on my commands. It was aimed at the crowed areas to cut down the enemy's forces. Xian was successful in finishing off her enemy. She continued to strike the place as ordered. Hakiru was taking care of the enemy's commander. He precisely killed the general class. It can't be called a battle. Approaching without any sound, and in an instant he cut them all down. Because the effect of the unique skill-starving ones is to increase the power of an individual under its influence after devouring corpse. So, it was a good idea to destroy the corpse of the one that was cut down. Is it some kind of hackate, internal power emission? A ghastly aura was released from the palm, and it cremates the corpse. Rather than cremating, it's closer to the image of being dissolved. I locate where the orc general was, and they were instantaneously killed by Hakiru after I communicated with him. The current situation, the losses of the orc soldiers reached about 30%. And then, the orc lord finally began to show movement. Once the time to reorganize the forces of both sides comes, they shifted from confrontation to glaring at each other. The free me was calmly observing the situation. The pigs were tense after they noticed the superiority they brought here was lost. The orc lord comes out to the front. A monstrous and ugly pig. Suddenly, the 2 surviving orc generals were cut from head to toe and devoured. The dull yellow-colored eyes were filled with hostility, and he releases his aura. In response to the aura, all of the orc soldiers' forces seemed to brimming with power. Benimaru, can you cast Black Flame Prison, Hell Flare, again? It's an easy victory if I cast them. Ranga, how about you? My lord. About 30% of my magic power has recovered. It won't bring out power like the previous one, but it's possible to shot it one more time. One shot is enough. Besides, that strike at the orc was an overkill. Just half of the power was enough to kill them. Cast it with the same range as earlier, but decrease the power when use it. With pleasure. Xian. This time I want you to strike the orc lord with a flashy single slash. Yes. I will use all of my power this time. What? Up until now she didn't use her full power. Well, do your best. She was brandishing her adachi joyfully with full power, or trying to slashing with it. This fellow might be holding a strange strength after all, or so I thought. Hakiru. You also want to kill the orc lord? But not this time. Please endure. You, understood. You want the young people to blossom, I'll be counting on you. This way, I finish the preparation for the interception. The orc lord was no longer a threat. That fellow ability was still uncompleted. I offer him my prayers. At the time I was thinking that Kayan. A harsh sound was heard. My magic perception had perceived someone that comes flying at supersonic speed from a distance. That person was in the middle of the marshes and landed in the middle of the 2 confronting armies. I feel a pretty strong aura from the strange men that dressed like a clown. Perhaps it was a high-ranked devil. I followed after him, and then I landed on the ground. At that moment, both Ranga and Benimaru come next to my side. The man that looked like a clown glanced at me. What the heck is all of this? So he shouted loudly. Gelmudo. The high-ranked devil, the mastermind of this war. And the first devil I met in this world. Chapter 39, Gears of Fate. So, a guy shows up looking like a clown and shouting some stuff about ruined plans or something. I got it, of course. This is all his fault. No question about it. I mean, we didn't even ask him, but he goes and confesses his crimes. Is he an idiot? Acting like some big shot while looking like that. Maybe he's not dressing up like a clown. Maybe he is a clown, so I concluded. From what I gathered, he also led the Orc Lord here. The clown Gelmudo-san seems to be very angry. Moreover, he seems to be trembling and greatly flustered, so he's very incoherent. Is he just calcium deficient? I guess devils need vitamins. Then the clown said, "What a useless blockhead. It's all because you haven't evolved into a demon lord, even after eating the lizards and the ogre trash. Making this great Gelmudo-sama come out all the way out here. What a horrible manner of speech." Waking to these words, Gabble called out. Gelmudo-sama. You've come to our rescue. This lizard, was he passed out the entire time? He called you orc food, you know. Oh, what do you know, it's Gabble. You should have been killed already. Whatever. Since I came out here I might as well finish the job. Rejoice. You are dying for my sake. Saying thus, Gelmudo pointed his hand at Gabble. And saying, die, he fired a magic bullet at him. Protect Gabble-sama. Gabble-sama is in danger. Screaming their lungs out Gabble's followers. A single magic bullet downed 5 lizardmen. Well, maybe because hitting 5 targets weakened it, or maybe they were just really tough, but none of them died. Gravely wounded, but still alive. Guys, what is the meaning of this, Gelmudo-sama? A panicked Gabble asks. Figure it out already, you were used. However, this isn't the right time to say it. Betrayed by his most trusted person, Gabble's face was pale despair. Georgia, Gabble-sama, it's dangerous here, please run away. Even when on verge of death his subordinates worry about him. What great subordinates he has. Soldiers that a commander yearns for, something like that. Lowly lizards. If you want to die that much, I'll gladly kill you all. And have the Orc Lord devour your bodies. While saying that, I felt him gathering a larger magic bullet in his hand. That wasn't magic, right? I didn't hear an incantation. Feels more like he gathers magic in one spot. HMPH. I walked ahead, right in front of the lizardman. Right in front of the scared and trembling Gabble. My expression hidden by the mask. I wonder how I look to Gabble? A passing thought. Why did I walk over here? Gabble caught my interest. So I'll save him. That was the only reason. That's all the reason I need. I've chosen to live as I please. I live free. That's the kind of me that I want to show Gabble. However, he looks completely lost. Maybe all the new information overloaded his brain? But don't worry. It's not like I want him to say anything. I'm just pissed at the clown. Gelmudo, however, completely ignored me and fired the magic bullet. Phew, ha 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 ha. I'll show you the power of a high-class devil. Die. Shishino Kaushinenbu. Death March Dance, a large magic bullet, split in midair, and as if drawing a circle flew at us. Unfortunately, it won't be passing me. In my child form, I lift my small hand, as if to grab it. And with just that, the magic bullet is absorbed into it. I was immediately able to analyze it. It was a simple magic manipulation skill. With low energy cost, it's easy to change the output. Well, as long as the caster is within range. If he went all out to fire this round, then he's no threat to me. Let's make sure. Hey, did you really intend to kill me with this boring skill? To test your words, could you please show me how to die? Saying that, I fired off a magic bullet. If I wanted to, I could also split it like he had, but I see no need. Putting in more magic energy, I make it the size of a fist. That got me thinking. The one he had fired was the size of a head, so was probably denser and more potent. If I use the same magic theory with the fire bullet, I should be able to increase its strength even further. How fun. Let's not forget that the clown looks pretty tough, so he makes a great target. And if I bore of this, I can just eat him. I further accelerated the bullet, and it made contact with the clown. And the moment it did, I released the magic energy. Gelmudo was sent flying. He had meant to evade, but couldn't due to the sudden acceleration. Rolling over, he desperately started to regenerate his wounds. He's got a regeneration skill. Isn't that wonderful? I bet he tastes great. Let's enjoy eating my first devil. As if understanding my intentions, Benimaru and Ranga are standing pleased but on guard. And Xian, despondent due to not being able to go all out. Nope, that's not how she looked. Rather, her eyes were sparking in delight watching my fight. No idea how she'll be venting all the pent-up later though, but it should be fine. I leisurely walk right up to Gelmudo, who was still rolling on the ground. "Just get up already. Weren't you going to show me the power of a high-class devil?" I kicked the collapsed Gelmudo. Seems like it was more powerful than I thought, since he was blown away again. What a brittle guy. "Why yo you? How dare you?" To a high, kicking the ground, I immediately appear right in front of Gelmudo. Aiming at his solar plexus, I throw some punches. Punches that are reinforced with armor. I don't feel pain of the impact, of course, but as my punch drives further and further into his flesh, Gelmudo's face distorted in anguish. Without care, I continue punching the guy. And once again, I fire off a magic bullet. Though I can regulate its strength, I was able to figure out that the bullet does 5 times more damage than one punch. Unless I start infusing my punches with energy, of course. If I do, my punches also become quite lethal and energy consumption grows. However, as the bullet uses less energy, it is a more efficient weapon. Seems like I can fight barehanded like a certain warrior race. Not that I will. But anyways, this guy is clearly above an A rank, but still way weaker than Benimaru. I wonder why? Solution. It is based on ranking system as defined by humans that focuses on the amount of energy in circulation. However, even if those with the same amount of energy battle, the one who is able to utilize it more efficiently shall have the advantage. Moreover, since skill level is not included in the ranking, great difference of strength tend to occur among those of the same rank, so that's how it was. Level is not something I can just figure out by looking. Since this isn't a game, if I don't fight them, I wouldn't know. And that's why Hakuryu, whose skill level was surely high, had obtained that powerful body. Even if you possess a lot of energy, it's meaningless if you can't use it. So right now, I know I cannot possibly lose against either Gelmudo or the Orc Lord. Hey, can't you put on a good show? Or is that clown appearance just for laughs? What kind of skills does he have? I don't feel any threat from him. Rather, it's like I'm asking a shopkeeper to show me his wares. What, you? Why, yao. Such words to a high-ranking devil, such, you, I hit him. Can't this guy properly respond when asked? Stop. Please stop. I'm backed by the demon lords. For you to do such a thing. Seems like he's saying something. How annoying. Is he thinking that he'll be able to cry about this to his patrons? And Demon Lord Leon is, well, my prey. And how are you planning on going back to cry to them? You aren't thinking that I'll let you live, right? Hearing my question, Gelmudo pales and he begins to tremble in fear. That kind of response was surprisingly amusing. As expected of a clown. Gelmudo then used some kind of spell and flew into the air. Seems like he's trying to escape. But all I could think of looking at that was, that magic looks delicious. I could fly with my sprouting wings, but not at supersonic speeds. This guy, on the other hand, was pretty fast. I want it. And it's not like I was planning on letting him go. I shot him down with a fire bullet. Well, even if it hadn't hit, I had already tied some sticky thread around his foot. Gelmudo fell crashing into the ground. He was so flustered that he didn't even put up a guard. Though I like those that yearn for subordinates, I hate the opposite type of personality. Especially those who take advantage of and discard people for them. I show no mercy. But since he possesses various abilities, let's at least munch on him a bit. When I approach, Kiwi, stay away. You're finished. The demon lords won't forgive you. He blurted out while trying to crawl away. Demon lords, huh? Seems like he knows a lot, and I'd certainly want to question him, but there's a chance of him running away. Probably need to interrogate him before he has a chance to. Even if I eat him, I won't get his knowledge. I can only get my hands on his skills. Though that's also a bit random. Though I can acquire the skills, there being too few of them is one of the flaws, if I can call it that. I approach silently. In utter terror, Gelmudo shoots magic bullets at me while crawling away. Not that they have any effect. I repel them all with my barrier. He doesn't have enough power to break through my barrier. That much we already established. After finally figuring it out, he stood up and tried to run away. The Orc Lord stands there. Does he plan to ask for help? Whatever. I'll let him do that. In any case, I had planned to exterminate the Orc Lord later. If they both come at once, it saved me some trouble. I can easily beat them alone, but this is also tiring. I wouldn't mind if the Orc Lord peacefully capitulates. I don't hate him. The easier this ends, the happier I'll be. Though I do worry that orc soldiers will then be running around causing trouble in the forest. While thinking these things, I let him distance himself from me. You blockhead. Don't just stand there doing nothing. Save me. Hiya ha ha ha. I don't know who the hell you are, but you must be able to see this orc's power. Go, Orc Lord. Make the idiot who dared strike me regret. Dashan, a head rolled. Baki, Barabori, Gelmudo's body was cut up into 1,000 pieces. Gotcha gotcha Bora Bora gotcha Baki Uit, he's being eaten. The Orc Lord, to whom Gelmudo ran with the intention of intimidating me, had lopped off his head with a butcher knife. And ripping his body up, he began eating him. What to say, he really died like a small fry. And besides, the orc had also been aiming to eat him. Or was it by instinct? Whichever is the case, this has gotten rather troublesome. His eyes glowing a pale light, he seems to have become intelligent. At that moment, the Orc Lord, who had been moving on instinct alone, finally acquired self-awareness and released an aura that could not be compared with his past self. Confirmed. The Orc Lord's magical energy has greatly increased, evolving into a Demon Lord. Success. Individual, Orc Lord has evolved into Demon Lord Orc Disaster. I didn't ask about that. I can do without an explanation. Seriously, cut me some slack. Without a care for my thoughts, Fuhaya, I am the Demon Lord Orc Disaster. The devourer of the world. Call me, Demon Lord Gelmudo. Honor given to my first prey. See. Just cause I got carried away a bit. That's why I should have just killed him already. I cursed. Well, it's too late now. Just like some alien with an M-shaped bald spot, getting carried away and losing. Letting the enemy increase their power only to lose afterwards. Pathetic. I always made fun of him when I read that, but now that I did it myself, let's remember from now on. Kill them when you can. A golden rule. That aside, what should I do about him? Thinking that, I got a little depressed. The Demon Lord silently observed the scene. How fun. The girl muttered. Gelmudo hadn't noticed it, but the girl had already made use of his eyes. The moment he looked over at her. After Gelmudo had left, she had his sight projected onto a water sphere she created, and as expected, Gelmudo wanted to cheat by intervening in the conflict. That much earned him death, but the Demon Lords had not expected a human to do it. A human child wearing a beautiful mask. Moreover, since they were following Gelmudo's vision, they didn't see the surrounding group. The flustered and irrational Gelmudo had not noticed the large gathering of high-class monsters. The Oni race. Once every few hundred years an elderly ogre could evolve into one. Their ability unnaturally high, they are often said to be capable of crushing the heavens. And 3 of such Oni were present. Had he noticed, he would know that they weren't someone he could handle. And a fang wolf that evolved strangely was also present. Judging from his appearance alone, he was at least an A-rank monster. Thus, 4 rank A+ monsters were present. And they obeyed a single child? A child wearing a beautiful mask. Certainly not a normal person. Probably a monster that took on the appearance of a human. If not that, then a new hero had been born among the humans. Those some underworld travelers were certainly strong, but none so as a child. That's because their souls have not yet developed, so they can't properly put their skills to use. By a process of elimination, the Demon Lords figured out the correct answer. A mimicking monster. One capable of easily overpowering the A-rank high-class devil Gelmudo. And 4 high-ranking monsters serving him. Power that they couldn't ignore. Who would have thought that Gelmudo would put on such a good show? The girl exclaimed happily. Seriously, that monster, should we crush it? Or raise it? No getting a head start. Though negotiating to make it a servant is allowed. The Demon Lords thought. If they could acquire that as their servant, they could surpass the other Demon Lords. However, they also needed to consider the chance of it becoming a threat. Hey, about this, can we keep it a secret among the 4 of us? Since we finally got something to kill our boredom with. The real purpose was, of course, to gain a trump card against the absent Demon Lords. That's how highly they valued that monster. Should that monster selfishly proclaim themselves as a Demon Lord, they are sure to immediately lose interest and eliminate it. However, that time has yet to come. The 4 nodded, and thus formed a new coalition. Had the Demon Lords moved at this time, then Rimuru's fate would be very different. However, the Demon Lords did not move. That decision moved the gears of fate. And pushed this story onto an unalterable route. Chapter 40, Orc Disaster. The chief of the lizardmen had desperately tried to hold back the incoming attack from the orc soldiers. He divided the troops and sends them forth to the four passageway. They will be supporting each other. Since the passageway was not really that large, and the fact that only a few can fight, it was a relief. If you considered the strength of the individuals, the small forces of lizardmen had higher strength compared to the orc soldiers. At the end of the chamber are the evacuated women and children, and those who can fight are protecting them in the front lines. They were there in case that someone managed to break through from the passage. The chief observed the war situation and realized that they could not survive more than a day. While he kept switching the troops to let them recover their fatigue, they are still managing to fight decently. Even so, between the gap of switching the two teams, they were pushed back little by little. Their current forces was less than 1,200. Even without regrouping, he can see that there were some of the troops that died in battle. Also, another nightmare struck the chief. The orc soldiers began to be shrouded in yellow aura. What is this? Was what he thought, but the answer was given immediately. The combat ability of the individual orc was increasing. While they did not drastically grow stronger, they now posed the ability to win against a lizardman. Until now, the individual ability of lizardmen was able to hold them off, but now that advantage was lost. This is it, the only fate remaining for them is of honorable death. The chief prepared his resolution. Escaping would be useless, struggling any longer would be useless. Even so, listen. Women and children shall retreat from this place. Guards, gather. You guys shall escort the women and children, keep protecting them to the very end, even if it's just one more person. I will not tolerate anyone who gave up. To obtain the new world, or to see the future, as many people as possible are needed to survive. With all of the dignity he had, he spoke in a loud voice. Chief, are you going to do it? The vice captain of the guards come asking. I know. I won't let the orc do as they pleased. I will show them the strength of lizardmen. Never show your weaknesses. For him, it was the symbol of strength for the lizardmen which bring him hope. Warriors, prepare yourself to fight to the death against the orc. Do not let a single one of them pass. We will buy the women and children the time they needed to escape. And so, the warriors group becomes inspired. There was no despair in the lizardmen faces. Even if the opponent was stronger, if it possible for the women and children to escape, it's their victory. Their future will not cease. After this, it would be a difficult time for them, but that doesn't mean the end of their species. They raised their voice to dispel their fear. The cave interior was filled with the lizardman war cry, and it reverberated with thunderous vibration. Satisfied with the situation, a voice heard from the place where the women and children tried to escape. That's going to be troubling. Chief Dono, the promise was still not fulfilled yet. Weren't you supposed to wait here? Quietly, there stood a man which nobody unawares of. With darkish skin, bluish black hair, blue eyes, a demon with height 190 centimeters. Once, he and the demon had met, which he identified himself as Sawae. Have they arrived? No, the alliance was not formed yet. But, Sawae Dono, have they arrived? But, we did not follow your advice, we have been disrespectful. Advice? What you talking about? Such thing does not matter at all. All of you please stay in this place. The promise is tomorrow. Tomorrow, my lord wished to come here personally. The promise for alliance, he doesn't know if it can protect them. But, however, we cannot stay here, the orcs are here. Hearing the words, Sawae glanced at the passages with the noisy orc soldiers. He looked at them as if he was looking at trash. Those guys' noisy stomachs certainly can't calm down very well. I suppose I have to clean them up first. Please wait here for a moment. After he said that, he started to calmly walk towards them. Is it illusion? It looks as if Sawae's body start blurring and overlapping. No. It is divided into 4 clones. Each of them went into the passage. They reached the place where the lizardmen were devoting themselves to defense. Substitute saying that word. The 4 clones in each passage were facing the orc soldiers. Then the lizardmen that were there saw the incredible spectacle. The orcs, who have tormenting us, as if hungry ghosts from hell, could not break through Sawae's stoic defense. At each passage stand a single person. Misatoya's engine. Beheading formation of restraining string. It was a slaughter dance of glittering string. Steel thread spreading around the passage instantly, and it moved freely according to Sawae's command. As soon as he executes the technique in the passage, the orc soldier's body was cut down. For those who come to invade, they think it will be a massacre without any resistance. It was unfortunate for those orc soldiers. At each and every passage, every one of them got killed by the skill that Saoi's clones used. Without their sense of self, only following simple order, therefore they cannot feel fear. One by one, they march forward, as if to let themselves be trapped in the stretched spider thread. However, this thread is terrible trap that instantly reap life itself. They happily devour the corpse that has been chopped to pieces, continuing their advance, and get killed. The scene repeated endlessly, the lizardman can't let out any sounds. The battlefield with structure like labyrinth is a stage for Saoi. The spread sharp trap had many varieties, he can change it according to the situation. This time, Saoi focused his interest in elimination of the orc soldiers. He didn't show any mercy, he carried out the slaughter without even batting an eyelids. The lizardman didn't let any sound in astonishment. After witnessing the strength from a different dimension, it's become the embodiment of fear. Overwhelming and surpassing them all, it was the figure of the strong. The situation has changed. 2 hours has passed since then. Until now, the orc soldiers that had come to invade were easily killed, and they suddenly begun to withdraw. Has something occurred that it changed the war situation? Saoi intuitively think. The amount of clones that he can use at the same time is 6. Because the first 2 clones went out, only 4 clones left to protect the chamber. The main body was lurking in the shadow while controlling the clones. Everything is all right now. He decides to entrust the rest to his clones. Saoi's main body begun to move without anyone noticing. He returned back to his lord's side, Rimuru. The demon lord Orc Disaster had identifies himself as a demon lord. Moreover, the name was someone else's. Or in this case, it would be correct if I say that he stole it. The demon lord Orc Disaster fulfilled Gelmudo's ambition to become a demon lord, but it just that. The one who really desired to become demon lord was Gelmudo. The orc lord without self-awareness was loyal to him. Of course, I was not aware of such thing, it don't have any relation with them. Self-awareness begun to appear, his eyes become intelligent. Declaring himself the demon lord, as the demon lord Orc Disaster Gelmudo, he has evolved with strength beyond comparison of an orc lord. Behind me, Benimaru was in a battle stance. He probably recognized the demon lord Orc Disaster Gelmudo as a threat. The smile he showed up until now had disappeared, it has become a serious expression. Rimuru-sama. I will handle it, so he says. He used the black flame prison, Hellfler. I received the signal by telepathy. I proceed to fly into the sky. It's good to have the wings. The demon lord Orc Disaster Gelmudo is in the center of the formed black sphere, dome. Inside it raged a high-temperature storm that burned the demon lord. However, after about 10 seconds, the demon lord Orc Disaster calmly stands in the location of the disappeared sphere, dome. It's not that it doesn't effective. He doesn't seem to have any heat resistance ability, his skin is completely burnt. But it's not a mortal wound, because he clad himself in his aura, it seems to had similar effect with heat resistance, resist. Moreover, the burnt skins are starting to regenerate. It's the same as Gelmudo, he also had regeneration ability. The magical energy is now overwhelmingly different from just Highs now a self-proclaimed demon lord. Rather, voice of the world said it before, this guy had the demon lord quality. He evolved and truly become a demon lord. This guy must be killed now, or he will become a real disaster. I'm convinced so. Benimaru is frowning because it managed to withstand his deadly attack. Indeed, Black Flame Prison, Hellfler, is powerful. However, it is an AO skill that weak if used against an individual. The energy is scattered and not focused. To use it against an individual, more of the energy has to be focused. If done that way, the resistance and the regeneration will not able to cope, and he will be completely burned. The one who attacked next after Benimaru was Ranga. He used the black lighting just like I suggest him to and converge it to a single point before shooting it. Receiving a direct hit, the demon lord Orc Disaster Gelmudo body stiffened. The aim is good. I will use it that way from now on. The area of attack was adjusted for individual target, the optimum blow. The black charred demon lord Orc Disaster collapse in the place where he stands. Of course that happens. Even I could not bear such attack. Rather than one-on-one, it's a fight against many opponent. Moreover, defeated be of surprise attack. Please do not think badly of me. Perhaps any of the Oni would not win in one-on-one. But with this the war would finally end. At the very moment I think that FUHAA. So this is pain. I even saw a glimpse of death. But it not enough to make the great me perish. Even though he is carbonized and seemed dead, the demon lord Orc Disaster rises up. If you look at him, he pulls and torn his arm and eats it. The demon lord Orc Disaster then ran to the orc soldiers. He casually kills the orc soldiers and eats them. What a guy. Each time he eat, his carbonized skin peel off and a brand new skin appear. Also, the arm that he torn off has regrown really. What a tremendous regeneration ability. Are you kidding me? Ranga murmured involuntary. It goes beyond a ridiculous monster, it's way beyond reality. It seems Ranga's energy was empty after using that attack. He sat down and stops moving. I wonder if he is entering the low activity state. It can't be helped. Energy consumption of black lighting was enormous. With this, he will not able to use it anymore. A single flash. Unnoticed, Xian swung her dachi, she did a single slash. The slash that she had put all her strength into. The demon lord Orc Disaster stops the slash with the butcher knife meat crusher in his hand. The slash didn't connect. He takes some damage from the blow. But it's not serious. This filthy pig is a demon lord? Stop being so conceited, she shout, and once again she collateral dachi with her aura, she raise her sword over her head, and then swings it down. The demon lord Orc Disaster stood to his feet while staggering, this time he hold the butcher knife meat crusher with both hands. The sword and the knife clash, resulting in fierce sparks. The demon lord Orc Disaster won the pushing contest. His physical strength surpassed even Xian's, the one who has ridiculous strength and Herculean strength. It seems his physical abilities is strengthened to an overwhelming level. I heave a sigh at that. Xian was sent flying. The demon lord Orc Disaster tried to finish Xian off. Perceiving the danger, Xian covered her body with her aura. But it seems she received considerable damage from that attack. Her face filled with frustration, it seems it will take some time until she is able to move again. Without noise, standing behind the demon lord Orc Disaster is a person, a samurai in his prime. Hakiru. Even I, observing from the sky, can recognize the speed of the slash, it will hit. It can't be stopped, it's also impossible to avoid it. The sword slashes through the body of demon lord Orc Disaster, cutting him into two separate pieces, the head fall. With this he should be dead. So I thought. Yet, the separated body parts connected by a yellow aura, that coiling into them like a tentacles, then it bent down, picking up the head that fell down, and fixed the head back to the original location. It looks like a sight from a horror movie, everyone lost their words. Hakiru also opened his eyes in surprise. I'm convinced now. The demon lord Orc Disaster most formidable ability is his tremendous regeneration ability. Up until now, it doesn't have variety of resistance. However, the problem is his recovery power. Also, added with his resistance, it would be impossible to kill him. However, if we burn him together with flame and black lighting, it's possible to surpass his defense and restoration ability. But now it's impossible. Benimaru and Ranga have run out of magic power. Xian is injured. Right now Hakiru is exchanging blade against him one-on-one. Hakiru's attack did not hit its target. The demon lord Orc Disaster's attack also doesn't hit. As expected from a master. However, how long will it continue? The situation is gradually getting worse. At that time, beheading formation of restraining string. At the same time as the voice heard, the demon lord Orc Disaster is captured by the sticky steel thread. It was Sao's doing. Quietly, lurking in Hakiru's shadow, he is waiting for the right timing. I see. I was impressed. Like this, even if you have high regeneration ability it would be useless. Hero always comes late. As expected of Sao. The moment I feel relived, I sense something out place. His yellow aura is coiling around the sticky steel thread. Chaos Eater the demon lord Orc Disaster uses his skill. It is more heinous than when he uses it at the Orc General. It corrodes everything it touches. The yellow aura thingies must be the essence of the demon lord Orc Disaster skill. In fact, that skill is one of the ability of the unique skill-starving ones. Its effect is corroding and decomposing every material he come in contact with. When the resistance failed to resist the corrosion, death will visit the living creature. The demon lord Orc Disaster begin his pursuit. Dai. Gaki no Kumshinenbu. Death March Dance, it was the skill that Gelmudo used. But the power level is different. Sensing it, Hakiru and Sae retreat. Benimaru's black flame prison, hell flare, nothing remains on its surrounding. Although its power is not absolute, it didn't give damage to the person touching it, instead it will give them corrosion effect. Quality, power, range. If all of it combined it will become a certain kill attack. Fortunately the speed is slow. If they receive it normally, the Oni will not stay unharmed. Fuhaha. Good. Entertain me more. It's a good exercise before the meal. You guys must be very delicious. Fuhaha. You all will become food for me. You guys happy, my subordinate, the main force of 5 people, even if they work together, they are still unable to win. This is, I'm no longer able to stop my body tremble. This trembling is a trembling that comes from my instinct. This bad. I can't stop trembling. Was it fear? No, it's different. This was joy. Yes. I was feeling joyful. From the bottom of my body, can no longer stop my instinct from going crazy and making noises from joy. My subordinate, the main force of 5 people fighting together, were not able to win against this opponent. Yet, in my mind there was no fear. The feeling of depression that appeared on the beginning, at this point it has all been blown away. That's right, I recognize this guy as an enemy. Sorry for thinking of you as troublesome. I stop flying and descend to the ground. When I come closer, the yellow aura, Chaos Eater, rush towards me. I feel it coiling around me and stick to my body. This is unpleasant. I see, so he trying to eat me? Nice, if you think you can do it, then do it. Feeling highly excited from my instinct, smile began to float on my face. Before you eat me, I will eat you first. And thus the time comes for the clash between me and the demon lord Orc Disaster Gelmudo.